All right, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to the FNB App Academy 2025. I am your host. My name is Karabo Mohole. Congratulations, first and foremost. You guys have completed the beginner phase of the App Academy, which focused on the HTML and the CSS. And right now, we are now currently in the intermediate phase, which will be focusing on JavaScript and APIs. And today's session will be looking into design thinking. But before we get into that, let us take a look at the guys behind the previous App of the Year winners, the story behind Easy Equities.
My name is Almira Oosthuizen. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Easy Equities and the Purple Group. I've been with the group for 14 years. When I joined the group, we had a business called GT247.com, which is a derivative trading business, so slightly more niche as opposed to general investing and wealth management. And the passion was always to create something that appeals to a much broader market. We started playing around with this idea of an investment platform that's really would democratize investment for everyone. In 2014, investment was quite especially stock trading or stock investment was a very novel thing, and it was perceived to be for white 50-year-olds sitting in boardrooms and people that knew exactly what to do with your money. And also it was presented in such a way, if you weren't one of those financial advisors or people that are close to banking and investments, you didn't know anything. And we wanted to dispel that myth because we felt like people aren't getting enough credit for their skills and the way that they can work with their money. But they didn't necessarily have the channels to do that through. So we wanted to create a channel where it's easy, accessible, friendly, and fun at the end of the day to start managing your own money, participating in small amounts if you want to start off, just to find your feet, and then grow your wealth ultimately. Financial freedom is the ultimate goal for everyone. We were always a desktop platform predominantly, but we knew that our market segment was moving predominantly to mobile. So we had to pivot and create an app. And the App of the Year awards was obviously also something that was instrumental in actually pushing us in that direction. We wanted to make a stamp on the market, show who we are. And hence decided to enter the competition and thought we could maybe use it as a platform to expose our app experience and our business to a broader audience. We've got a few international partnerships that are popping up now. So we're venturing into the Philippines specifically. One of the biggest mobile wallets in Southeast Asia has partnered us. So yeah, the partnership strategy was really a nice unlock, a key unlock for us as well. And I think it also stemmed a bit from having the exposure through things like the App Awards, which puts us on this platform and give us some credence and credibility to let big brands partner with smaller brands like ourselves.
All right, awesome stuff right there from Easy Equities. All right, so we'd love to hear you guys on social media, so please do remain active on social media, tagging FNB App Academy. And speaking about social media, we are running an amazing competition on social medias. All you guys have to do is take a picture of your computer station or your workstation with the title My Best Setup Bootcamp and post it on social media, hashtagging FNB App Academy Setup, hashtagging FNB App Academy, and hashtag Love FNB and hashtag FNB. You guys can stand a chance to win an amazing Samsung Galaxy tablet courtesy of FNB. Now the competition is running up until the 29th of May, midnight on Thursday. And the winner will be announced on social media. So please do keep your eyes out on social media as you guys could be announced to win the amazing reward. All right, now let us see what you guys have been up to on social media this week.
Nami ngiyamangala ukuthi nala ngadlula njani uNkulunkulu nale ngaka ngadlula no, it wasn't an easy road.
All right, awesome. So right now we're joined all the way from our Durban studios by Ibrahim, all the way from Durban. Ibrahim, how are you, sir?
Good, and you?
All right, awesome. So thank you so much for being part of the App Academy. Now let us know a little bit about yourself.
Okay, as I said, my name is Ibrahim. You can call me Ibi. I'm the head of department of the Department of Information Technology at the Durban University of Technology. I have my master's in ICT, currently registered for my PhD. I'm a network engineer. I've got all the CCNA certification. I run a number of courses, number of projects, number of community engagement projects. So very much involved with the community as such, with the academic knowledge that we have gained.
All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of the App Academy, right? So obviously we're talking about the beginner phase, which we've just currently completed, the intermediate phase and the advanced phase, right? So how do you begin now to encourage developers as they begin on this particular journey?
Firstly, I think you've chosen the correct path or correct journey, and these types of programs are extremely important because it provides us with the skills that we're going to be needing for this new type of jobs that are going to be coming in. We all know we're in the 4th Industrial Revolution, we're talking about the 5th Industrial Revolution, and as the new workforce, we need to reskill and upskill ourselves with the new technologies going to be out there. And platforms like the FNB Academy basically provides the learners with a chance to be exposed to these types of elements that are going to be required in industry.
All right, cool. So those are some amazing thoughts coming all the way by Ibrahim. So now Ibrahim will be taking us through design thinking, obviously talking about the importance of problem solving and building on unique solutions that are people-centric. All right, so all the way from Durban, Ibrahim, take us through the session, sir.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the FNB App Academy 2025, where we do sessions that will try to upskill you and reskill you in certain aspects that in case you might require some knowledge on. Today's session is a very interesting session, which is going to be on design thinking. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Ibrahim. I'm the head of department for the Department of Information Technology at the Durban University of Technology. That's my email address. You are welcome to email me at any time if you like, if you have any queries, suggestions, etc. So as we said, today's topic is on design thinking. All right. And design thinking is a human-centered approach. You need to keep that in mind. All right. So why human-centered? I'll explain that to you just now. So what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be understanding the design thinking process. What are the key principles? What are the stages or the model that we use in order to take an idea from initiation to basically development or what we call commercialization? Why does it matter? And Rebecca Link has said it quite clearly, right? She said coming up with an idea is easy, guys. But coming up with the right one takes work. With design thinking, throwing out what you think you know and starting from scratch opens up all kinds of possibilities. And I'm going through my presentation, I'm going to get you guys to try and think about at least one of the objects that we could redesign. All right, and I'll explain that to you again just now. So what is design thinking? Firstly, it's a problem-solving approach. And it emphasizes 3 things. 1, empathy. 2, creativity. And 3, experimentation. What is empathy? It's basically the ability to understand what the other person is feeling or what the other person is thinking. Not necessarily a person, could be an animal, could be an anime. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? For you to understand that. Okay? Creativity is about generating new ideas and solutions. Okay? We can take something that has been used for years and try to redevelop into something much more useful. And experimentation, trying different things, right, to see what effect they have. Right? This is what design thinking is all about. It's a problem-solving approach. So, what are the key principles? Okay, there are quite a few. The first one in blue on the top says 5 IRs, and if you go to the internet and you search on key principles, it won't tell you that. It will tell you human-centric. I would like to change that slightly because there are 3 things that we need to consider with anything that we do, any new idea, any new innovation that we are creating, anything that we are changing. 1, how does it affect humans? 2, how does it affect the environment? And 3, how does it affect our economy? Okay? That is what the 1st Industrial Revolution is all about. Okay? Design thinking is about collaboration, working together. Okay? You can't do anything everything on your own. You need a team of people working together to achieve something. Okay? Whatever it is. It needs to be holistic, there needs to be experimentation, it needs to be iteration, right? So there's different perspectives involved within the key principles. And these three key principles you should consider when you are approaching any project or any design that you are trying to do. Okay? But also be careful, it mustn't be harmful to humans, mustn't damage our environment, and it must be we must try to build resilient economies and work together. Okay. So these key guidelines that I've just discussed guides the design thinking process, enables you as a designer or as an innovator to create solutions that are intuitive, effective, and most importantly, must meet the needs of the users. There's no point in developing something that no one's going to use or not going to like to use. Okay? So be careful of that. This picture encapsulates everything. This is a team of design thinkers, basically. So a design thinking team. A number of different experts working together, collaboration, in order to achieve or solve a problem. Okay? Or a new idea that must come up. And you'll see in the background there's a board out there with sticky notes. We love sticky notes in design thinking. And I'll show you how we're going to use them at a later stage. All right? So this is a design thinking team. Through the presentation, I want you to look at that. You all guys know what that is? You ever want to use that? Oh no, definitely not. That's a walker. Okay? It aids people with disabilities or people who have difficulty walking to be a bit more mobile. But do you like the look of it? I don't. Okay? Do you think it serves all the purposes of the user? I don't think so. Example, although I've never used one, I can look at it and say, if I get tired, where am I going to sit? Or if I go shopping, where am I going to place my item that I purchased? Right? I can't push a trolley, right? Because I need the help of the walker. But where would we get all this information from? Right? Obviously not me. Okay? I'm just looking at it from the outside, but from people that use that. Right? So I want you to keep that picture in the back of your mind through the presentation. All right? Because I'm going to refer to that. I'm going to show you at the end what we can do, how we can take that unit that you see on the screen and make it better, efficient, and satisfies the user's needs. Okay? So we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking, okay, when we use to create them. Okay? We need a different set of ideas and a different set of thinking process to be able to develop something better, like taking that walker and making it cool, put a seat on it, put a bag in it, or whatever is required by, or whatever the pain points are of the users themselves. Okay? So let's just jump right into the model right now. You'll notice there are 5 stages to the model. The empathize stage, the define stage, the ideate stage, the prototype stage, and the test stage. Okay? Sometimes you would find, and I'm going to say that right now, you might go to one or two or three stages and you would find that, hey, we've done something wrong here. So you can always go back a stage or go back to the initiation and start all over again. Okay? What I also need to tell you here, whatever you are trying to do, make sure you understand the problem. Because if you don't understand the problem, you're not going to be able to provide a correct solution to that problem. Okay? A simple example, if somebody walks in here right now and just sits here and cries all the time, can I help that person? Obviously the answer is no. Why can't I help that person? I don't know what they are crying for. They've got a headache, they are pregnant, they got cancer, somebody died, boyfriend left them, girlfriend left them. I don't know. Okay? So what solution am I going to provide them? Absolutely nothing. Okay? Until they tell me, oh, I've got a severe headache. Oh yes, there's 2 Panados. I know the problem. I provided the solution to that particular problem. So please make sure that you understand the problem before you try to find a solution to something that you are trying to solve. So as I said, the 5 stages of the model are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay? I'm going to go through each of these stages. Each stage has a number of, I would call, sub-stages. Okay? And each one requires a different skill set to be able to perform properly or effectively or efficiently. So guys, let's jump right into it. This is design thinking. Let's make something new. So the empathize stage. Let's just define it first. Okay? I told you before in the beginning, empathy. What is empathy? Understanding. okay, what the other person thinks or feels. Okay, so in our project, okay, so we want to understand the needs and pain points of the users. Simple example, let's go back to the walker as well. Firstly, who are the people that are using this? People with disabilities, people who have problem walking, and the aged. Am I right? Okay. And what are their pain points? They get tired, okay, they are sick, okay, they have difficulty moving, all right. I'm just preempting some of the things out here to help you understand, okay. But how will we get all this information? Okay, there must be some technique. So the three techniques that we use to gather information, to understand, to empathize with the user is: one, we can do user interviews; two, we can do observational research, or we can do user interviews and observational research; and the third one is we can send out surveys and questionnaires. All right, you could do all three, or you could decide to do one. But remember, the more data you collect, the better your solution will be. Okay? So let's just jump into what is user interviews all about. Okay? Purpose is to gather in-depth, remember here, qualitative insight into, remember empathy, the user's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Okay? So it's going to be done one-on-one. So somebody is using that walker, sit down and talk to them. Ask them open-ended questions. Okay? And encourage them to tell you a story. Right? So I went to the supermarket, and while I was going through the supermarket, I got tired. Right? That's an example of a story. It's now giving you pain points, it's giving you problems, and you understanding their risk, okay, or what they are going through. They are sharing information with you so that you would be able to understand. Okay? The benefits of a user interview is extremely rich, providing you with a lot of information. Okay? And you are then gaining an understanding of the user's needs, one, their pain points, and what is motivating them. Okay? Why are they using it? Okay? And would they use it if they had a choice? Obviously, the walker, definitely not. Right? But if you're designing a water bottle with a spray, maybe yes, I would definitely use it. Right? So it depends on what you are trying to do. With observational research is, as the name suggests, observe the behaviors, how they interact, what environment are they using it in their home, do they have stairs, etc. Okay? You can conduct ethnographic research, trying to understand what they are going into, okay? Shadowing users, following them around, okay? And observing them in their natural environments, not in an unnatural environment. All right? So don't ask the person, the walker, to come to your office and walk up and down, and you call that observing. Okay? That is not a natural environment. That person's natural environment might be his home, the supermarket, walking on the street. Okay? That's the natural environment, because you will gain more reliable information coming from that type of scenario. What will it do for you? It will give you a deeper understanding of the user's habits. All of us have different habits. So you might interview 5 people and the habits might be slightly different. What are their routines? Again, what are their pain points? And what factors are influencing their behavior? For an example, the person with the walker does not take a walk into the garden because there are 3 or 4 stairs for the person to take in order to reach the garden. So he's inhibiting his or her movement. But you will only find that after observing them. And then we have surveys and questionnaires. Okay? This is, you can send out to as many people as possible, right? So you get a lot of data, right? But it depends on the type of project that you are doing, all right? So we're now collecting quantitative data on the users themselves, their attitudes, their behaviors, and demographics. Very important, okay? Demographics are very, very important. Where do they come from, right? What is the age group, okay? What are their race, okay? What are their earnings? Can they afford that walker firstly? Okay? And if you change it and you make it very, very costly, then will they be able to afford it? You got a major issue. Okay? You need to take the entire spectrum into consideration. So firstly, you design a survey or questionnaire, you distribute them, and it could be either online or it could be offline. Someone filling it out on paper or using digital platforms like your social media, etc. The benefit is broad. Okay, you can get data from anywhere in the world if you put it online, for example. And what does it give you? An insight into the user's needs again, their preferences again, and pain points. And most importantly, also demographic data. All right. So these three things: one-on-one interviews, observation, surveys and questionnaires. You can decide what you want to use depending on what best suits your project. On certain types of project you might be doing, you might just choose user interviews. Okay. So if I'm doing something redesigning the walker, I will use user interviews and observational research more than anything else, because that is going to give me the most amount of data that I'm going to need to understand the user or the client or the person that is broken his leg and has to use it, or whatever the case may be. So in conclusion for that section, okay, these techniques help designers and innovators. Okay, that's basically you're the entrepreneur, you're the innovator, right? To develop one, empathy for the users, so you understand your client. Okay, I'm just going to call him client right now, or the user. You gain a deeper understanding of what their needs are, what they like, what they don't like. What do they like about the walker? What don't they like about the walker? Okay, and this is going to inform you on the development of what we now call, remember I said human-centered? Okay, it's the same thing. Now we're calling it just user-centered solutions. A solution that satisfies the need of the user. Let's move on to the second stage. We've done the empathize stage. We understand the user's needs, we understand their pain points, we know what we are trying to do. So the define stage is, firstly, we need to define the problem statement and to identify the key challenges. Okay? Everything that we do, it's advisable to create or write out a problem statement. How are we going to get this done? To achieve at the end, to get a problem statement done and identify the key challenges, basically there are two things that we need to do. There's affinity mapping and there's mind mapping. Okay, and the knowledge gained or the information gained from these two areas will basically define how our problem statement is going to be written. Okay, and this problem statement needs to be clear. So in the define stage, there are a number of steps that you can take. Okay, revisit the unknowns, distill your research findings into artifacts, start to tell a story, generate a problem statement, collaborative, working together with people. Please make sure that you record everything. Okay, everything must be written down or recorded in basically some form. Okay, let's jump into affinity mapping. Okay, affinity mapping is to organize and prioritize your findings. Okay, to identify patterns and themes. Okay, and here we use what you call it, sticky notes or post-it notes. Okay, and we write down all our ideas. Okay, and what you will find that from these ideas, you will stick all these on your wall. Okay, or on some board or whatever the case may be. Okay, and from there you will start creating clusters or what we call affinity groups. I will show you in the diagram just now. So in this way we can visualize complex data. We can also identify relationships between different ideas and we can prioritize our findings. What's very important, what's not so important, what's okay, is nice to have, etc. So we're looking at the diagram. On the left hand side, you will find we have taken all the sticky notes, okay, and we put them all on our wall, right? And from there, we started the affinity map on the right hand side. Okay, we started looking at themes. Right? Remember, it says themes. What is the pattern? What is the theme? So similar ideas go next to each other. Okay, for example, comfort. There are a few things on comfort that people said. You had it on sticky notes that goes under the heading comfort. So you see, you are trying to now get some sort of structure. Okay, so you've taken all your sticky notes, you put them together, and now you are structuring them into themes. Okay, and then you're going to build, basically when the next thing comes up is your mind mapping. Now you're going to start building relationships. You can visualize your themes. Now you need to connect your ideas, your concepts, and to build relationships between them. Some of the relationships could be one to many, many to one, many to many, that type of relationships. So what you are doing here, you are creating a visual map, starting with the central idea or concept, okay, and branching out into other related ideas, subsections or subtopics. All right, you might have an idea, but there are other things that are going to come into it. So in this way, we generate and organize our ideas. We identify relationships between our concepts, and we're creating a visual representation of this complex information that we have in front of us. So basically ending up something like that. Okay? You have an idea which is in your center, and then you have all your branches that link to each other, forming relationships to your main idea. Okay? Some will be extremely important, some might not be that important. So you will also be listing your priorities. So it's your idea, it's a visual concept with relationships and priorities that you can create. And you have now created a visual representation of something that is very, very complex. You have broken it down. You've basically taken that, what you've seen on the left hand side, and you've broken it down into smaller units or sections, so it's easier to control, manage and maintain, and it's easier to work with. Right? And you build the relationships between all these concepts that you have created. So you end up with something like that, your idea in the center and all your themes around it that build or gives or who's going to satisfy that problem or that idea that you have going forth. The one thing I must tell you here right now is that go wild. Okay? Put everything down, record everything. What you don't need, you can throw away at a later stage. Okay? But you don't know you're not going to need it until you come to that particular point, or it addresses some type of problem, or it doesn't address some type of problem, or it addresses the solution, or it doesn't address the solution. So now, from going wild and having all those sticky notes on your wall, you have now collected them into something which is coming now, you can see taking shape, which is visual. You've built your relationships in them, so your mind map is done, your affinity map is done, we know what is required. So what's the next step? Okay, and remember I said go wild is the problem statement definition. Okay, because we understand the problem, we know the pain points, we got a visual representation of what is required. Okay, so now we develop the problem statement. Okay, what is the purpose of the problem statement? Is to clearly articulate the problem. Okay, or opportunity statement, providing a focus for the design effort. Remember I told you before, it's a collaborative effort. A lot of people, different people coming from different backgrounds and different levels of knowledge and skill working on the same project. Everybody needs to know what they are doing. And the problem statement clearly defines that. And I'm going to give you an example of a problem statement just now. So the objective is to define a concise, remember, concise, has to be precise, actionable problem statement that captures the essence of the problem or the challenge that you are trying to address. Okay? But it has to be clear and concise. A well-defined problem statement serves as a guiding light for the rest of the project, for the rest of the design process. You're going to use your problem statement that you created in stage 3, stage 4 and stage 5. Why? To ensure that the solution addresses the genuine needs, not your needs, the genuine needs of the users and the pain points and the end of the user. They say the target user. In our case, when we're talking about the walker, who's our target users? People that are old, who have problems walking, people that are injured, people that have disabilities. Does it satisfy all those group of users that we have? And this is an example. And so to conclude this part of it, these techniques we use: mind mapping, affinity mapping, and problem statement definition, that helps us, again, I'm going to say you as a designer, entrepreneur, innovator, to analyze and synthesize those findings that you put up on the wall, identify patterns and themes, and create a clear understanding of the user and of the problem. That is why we have the problem statement. Remember I told you, go wild. So here's an example of a good problem statement. How might we design a more intuitive and accessible public transportation system for seniors and people with disabilities, reducing their travel time by 30% and increasing their sense of independence? Okay, that is a good example of a problem statement. What are we trying to do? Okay, design an intuitive and accessible public transportation system. For who? For seniors. Who else? For people with disabilities. What is the objective? Is reduce travel time by 30%. Okay? And there's one more objective here. By increasing their sense of independence. How will we increase the sense of independence? One way would be by less people trying to help them. They're doing it on their own. So if you got time, I want you guys to write a problem statement for the walker. Okay, what are we trying to do? What is our objective? Who is going to be used for? Okay, and what is the purpose? Okay, look at those factors and very quickly write down a problem statement and see whether it's a good problem statement or it still needs some refining. Okay, obviously you haven't done the user needs, etc., so there will be refining required. So that is the second stage. So we did the empathize stage, okay, remember, and we did the second stage, which is the problem creating the problem definition. Okay, now we go to the ideation phase. Okay, where we generate a wide range of ideas and solutions to the problem. Okay, all might not work. Okay, some we need to change, and here it is an iterative or an experimentation process. Okay, we design something, we try it out, it doesn't work, right? Throw it away, start scratch with something else, and you work on that process. Remember I said in the beginning, iterative and experimentation. Okay, iterative means step by step process, experiment with different ideas. Okay, what techniques do we use in the ideate stage? We use brainstorming, Scamper. Okay, Scamper is an acronym, I'll come to that just now, and we can do what we call reverse brainstorming. Okay, work for the worst instead of the best. So let's look at brainstorming. Okay, brainstorming is to generate a large quantity of ideas in a short amount of time. Okay, get your entire team around the table. Okay, this is the problem. How do we find solutions to one? Everybody will come up with different ideas. Write down all these ideas on sticky notes or on a page, take minutes of meetings, etc. As I said, gather a diverse set of people. People with different backgrounds, okay? Engineers, for example, electronic engineers, mechanical engineers, people with disabilities, okay? Designers, right? A leather expert, you want to put a leather bag in there, etc. Okay? Have a group session, what we call a brainstorming session. Set a timer, okay, because you don't want this to go into hours and hours, right? And ask the participants to share ideas without being judgmental or without critique. Just come up with ideas. We don't want to know at this point whether it's a bad idea or a good idea. We just want ideas. Because sometimes we think it's a bad idea. But when we're going forward, you suddenly realize, hey, that bad idea wasn't so bad after all. We need to incorporate this into our design. So all ideas. We're not worried about whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. Put them down. And what this encourages is people to be wild. Remember I said go wild? And come up with new ideas. Be creative. Right? And also, people will be discussing because you've got different people from different types of background in the same group. So they'll be fostering some sort of collaboration. Okay? The electronic engineer will be talking with the mechanical engineer. The user might be talking with these high-level CEOs that is part of this project, etc. Okay? And what this all does, it helps to identify, and I'm not saying a solution, I'm saying a potential solution. All right? At this point, we don't know what the solution is going to be. Okay? So this is one method that we use called brainstorming. Okay? Reverse brainstorming is a new creative technique out there. Okay? It is mainly used in design thinking to generate innovative ideas by reversing the traditional brainstorming process. Okay? Do it the other way around. Okay? So how would this work? Define the problem or challenge. Reverse the problem. Okay? Ask the opposite question. Not what is the solution to this problem? How do we make this problem worse? On that walker that we have, take out the wheels for an example. What would happen? Okay? What would we do to achieve the opposite outcome? Okay? You're trying to play devil's advocate here. What I also want to tell you here is that design thinking is not something new. Okay? It's There, from the time humans were born, we always looked at things, how do we make it better, how do we make it more. What we have only done now, right, is to basically formalize the entire process, the key principles, the model, etc. So brainstorm ideas that would intentionally make the problem worse or achieve the opposite outcome. Okay. Take the ideas generated in step 3, okay, and reverse them to create solutions that address the original problem. Sometimes you may think, why would we want to do this? Absolute rubbish. But try it. And you will see some weird and wonderful things that come up that you might be able to use in your project. Okay? Seriously, try it. Okay? And then we could use Scamper, where we generate new ideas by applying different techniques to existing ideas or products. Okay? So the product that we spoke about was the walker again. So what that S stands for? Substitute. Replace one part with another that works better. Say for example, we got 4 wheels on our walker. What if we make it 2 wheels? Okay. What if we put brakes on it? So take out 2 wheels, put brakes on it. Okay. Combine, put different components together to improve, like wheels and brakes. Maybe a sensor. Adapt. Update the product to new preferences. Like I told you, I might get tired using the walker. I need to sit. Why don't I incorporate a chair in there? Okay. Modify. Change the appearance and presentation. When we looked at the walker, what did I ask you? Does it look cool? And I said, ew, it doesn't look cool. Would I really want to use that? No, it's not hip, it's not cool. How do I make it hip? How do I make it cool? Okay? How do I change the appearance that it makes it amenable or it makes it aesthetically pleasing to the user or anyone looking at the user using it? Importantly, P, use the product for the purpose that it wasn't intended. Like carrying a baby with it. Right? I'm just playing devil's advocate and throwing up ideas. Eliminate. Remove all the useless parts that are not valued. And you will find that on that walker, there are useless parts on that. Rearrange. Okay? Deconstruct it and rethink some of the pillars. Okay? Where did your pillars come from? Your previous stage. Okay? So what this does is encourages creative thinking. It helps to identify new opportunities, and you can come up with something absolutely wonderful, some great innovative solution to your problem. Moving on, we've done 3 stages now. We're looking at the 4th stage, which is the prototype stage. Okay. Now, we all use prototyping in all our industries. All right. So, for example, they want to launch a new model of a car. Okay. What do they first do? Do they just go and build the car with all its working components? No. They create a clay model, okay, of what the car is going to look like, and get people to come in. And motor industry uses this a lot. Right? They use clay to design the new vehicle, and then the CEO will come in and say, I don't like that roundness on that bumper, for an example. It's very quick to change. It's hard to change metal, but it's very quick to change something that like Play-Doh or clay or something of that sort. So we use prototyping a lot. Okay? It is not the real final product. Okay? It is getting to the final product, but we are going to be using it to see whether, hey, is this the right thing? Because building an entire complete unit is going to cost a lot of money. So we build prototypes to test, okay, to see what the reactions are, okay, what we can approve, what we like, what we don't like, put in stuff, take out stuff, etc. Okay. So what we are doing here is creating a tangible representation of your idea. Motor industry, they first use it designing digital spectrums. Okay. But if I get the user and to say, look at the screen and tell me whether it's fine or not, I'm not going to be able to tell you that. Right? Or if I am designing a house for you and I just show you the plans of the house, will you be able to get a good idea or a sense of what you are getting at the end? No, you're not. So what do? We create a model of the house or the model of the building. with paper or cardboard. And now you have a visual representation. Now you can say, I don't want the garage there, I want it here. I want a bathroom there. I want this change, I want that change. Why? Because you are looking at this solution to the problem and you're adjusting. Right? Instead of building the house and then trying to make adjustments, which is not going to be possible. So what is paper prototyping? Okay, or first prototyping, what it is? 1, always keep the user in mind. 2, plan the scope of testing. 3, take action and fail fast. Okay, fail fast means if fails, quickly try to recover from that. Choose the right tools and fidelity and record everything. Your questions for testing, etc. Because you must go through this particular process after this. We have paper prototyping, where we create a low fidelity tangible representation of the idea or product to test and refine. The example that I just gave you, right? You've asked for a house and the architect built you this house made out of paper or cardboard. So you have a visual representation and you can decide, hey, I can walk through here, walk through there, what's going to be the problem, etc. Materials you're going to use, as I said, paper, cardboard, scissors, glue, other craft supplies. Benefits, it's cheap. Also quick and easy to create and allows for rapid iteration and testing. Like, I don't want this bedroom here, I want this bedroom there. We can quickly change it around, right? Without incurring a large cost. So it's ideal for exploring and testing physical products, okay, like that house you want to build or the car, interactions with the user and the user interfaces. Like, how is the user going to use it? Where is he going to get it from? How do I enter my house? Example. Okay. Simple example that we can use. Hey guys, build a paper plane. I'll give you a sheet of paper and build a paper plane and see which one of you guys flies the first. It's a prototype of a real plane, actually. Okay. Digital prototyping is where we create interactive digital representation of an idea or a product to test it and notice, refine it. Refine means makes changes. The picture on the right hand side basically tells you that is digital prototyping, where we're creating using either virtual reality or augmented reality to basically create a digital prototype. You can use tools like Sketch, Figma, Adobe, InVision, or any other tool that you know of that you can use to create prototypes. It allows for interactive testing without building the real product. It also can be easily shared. And iterated means changes upon it. And what it does, it provides a more realistic user experience. And if it provides a more realistic user experience, you're going to get better feedback to make your product better. Okay. You can use cases which is suitable for testing digital product, right? Such as website, mobile apps, or software. All right. So I love the digital space. I love the virtual reality, augmented reality space, because you actually see the real item, right? Obviously not built, but in a digital format, like the engine of the car, or like your house. Okay, you had a paper format, now you got a digital format. It's just different ways of doing things. Okay, service prototyping now is slightly different. Okay, where we design, test end-to-end service experience. So if you take this route from point A to point B, what was the interaction, what was the experience? As opposed to taking another route, let's say route B, from point A to point B. Okay, route A, for example, might go through a slum area. Route B, for example, might go through a park. Route 3, for example, might take you to an affluent area to reach your house. So what are the different interactions between all these things that you're going to design? Okay, like in your house. If I enter from the garage, what is my experience? If I enter from the front door, what is the experience? If I enter from the back door, what is the experience? Okay, so it gives you touch points and gives you data about the journey that the user needs to take, because they are going to be using it. All right, or the walker that we're going to be using. How does he get from point A to point B? All right. So service design tools like blueprints, customer journey maps, and prototyping workshops are used. All right. So you can use, like on the right hand side, like the picture there. That's a service prototype. Okay. I got a model of a human standing there, of a lady standing there, and I move them around and see what will happen or what won't happen. So it helps us identify okay, and design seamless user-centered experience across multiple touch points and interactions. Okay, we're finding out things that we might not have thought of. Okay, it is ideal for designing and testing complex services such as healthcare, financial services, or transportation systems. We don't want to build a railway line from Durban to Maritzburg, right? And when we start building it, then we realize, hey, there's an issue or there's a problem. Okay, we need to understand all these issues and problems before we get into creating the final product. No point designing that walker in such a way as they are moving they fall. It does not satisfy the initial need of safety. Okay, so we use all these methods. Okay. So these prototyping techniques enable you, again, as a designer, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, one, to test the product, to refine the product, okay, iterate upon your ideas, make changes. And what does it do? It reduces the risk of launching a product or a service for that matter that does not meet the user's needs. Because if it does not meet the user's needs, they are not going to use it. They are not going to buy it. So what is the point of going through this entire process of developing something that is useless? What is the point of building this entire house and it doesn't serve my needs? What is the point of building the car and nobody wants to buy it? So we reduce risk by building a prototype and getting feedback from users, etc., right, to see whether that this product will be successful or it will be a failure. Okay. A lot of cars go through prototyping stages, but they don't end up in production. Why? Because after market research, by showing people the prototype, etc., people had more negative comments than positive comments, and the idea is that, would you buy that car? No, I will not buy that car. So what's the point of producing it? So it gets dumped at that stage without really going into production. Right? And now we move on to the last stage. We finished the prototyping. Okay, we've understood the problem, we know what the user's needs are, we know what their pain points are, we created a prototype, we tested the prototype. Now comes the real McCoy, as we say, okay, where we validate our idea with real users and stakeholders. Right? And this is the testing phase. Right? We still haven't produced the final item as yet, we're getting there. So here we use user testing, A/B testing, and feedback and iteration. Feedback and iteration comes from the users and the stakeholders. So the purpose is to evaluate a product or service by observing how the people that are going to use it are going to interact with it. So let's take that new design of that walker that we have, call in an aged person or a disabled person and say, right, there's the product, use it. The first thing you're going to look into the eyes and say, do they think this is cool or not? Do they like the design? That is even before they start using it. Okay? And then use the product. See whether it satisfies all those needs and sorts out all those pain points that we came across in stage one. Okay? So recruit participants, create a testing plan, okay, and conduct in-person and remote testing sessions. Okay? With the walker, it's going to have to be in person. Can't be remote. All right? So it again depends on the product. What does it provide you with? Qualitative insights into the user's behavior. What was the reaction? Identify usability issues. Right? This wheel is too close to my leg. I'm kicking it as I'm walking. Okay? And what does it do? It designs or it informs design improvement. Hey, I'm the user. I think you can make it better by doing X or Y. So it's ideal for testing our prototypes, okay, or existing products that we might have, and to identify areas of improvement. Okay, and you'll have multiple variances coming through at this point in time. Some might be valid, some might not be valid. Okay, but the main thing is here, you're getting the user to test it, the person that's going to buy it at the end. And the last question should be, will you use a product like this? And the absolute last question would be, would you buy a product like this? Okay. Remember, using one and buying one is two different things. All right. Some people think it's going to come for free. Okay. A/B testing, where we compare two or more versions of the product. We came up with different ideas. So we created different prototypes, okay, to determine which one performs better. Like on the walker, one we might have 2 wheels, the other we might have 4 wheels. Let's test both of them. Because as an able person, I might not have been able to gather which one is going to work better. So get the person with a disability or the aged person to use both of them, right, and see which one works better. So create multiple versions, A and B and C and D, however you want to. Okay? Split your traffic or users between them and measure performance metrics. So the 2-wheeler and the 4-wheeler. Okay? To get from point A to point B, which one was faster? Which one was easier to use? Were there any safety issues with each one of them? Maybe one person nearly fall. Okay? Or there were no safety issues. So performance metrics. So what it does again, it provides us a quantitative data, because it uses interaction, on which version performs better. It helps to identify the winning elements. Sometimes, even at this point, we might say, that's over there, but that's not over here. I like this one, but I need this incorporated into that. Okay? And what it does, it informs now your decisions based on data. It is data driven coming from your users. It is suitable for testing digital products like websites, mobile apps, or email campaigns. Okay? On the prototypes for the product itself, for the walker, yes, you can use it as well. You could design 2 or 3 different versions of the product, a 2-wheeler, a 4-wheeler, a 3-wheeler maybe, for an example. Okay? And the A/B testing product is basically one, we design the base layout, we create variations, like I said, 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler, define a test plan. You must have a test plan. You can't just say, well, use it. No. Okay? Maybe in a controlled environment, all 3 units, the 2-wheeler, the 3-wheeler, and the 4-wheeler. Put a user in each one of them, maybe the aged person, and get them to go from point A to point B and see the difficulties or non-difficulties and how long it took them. Okay? It must be a consistent plan. Collect all the data. 2-wheeler took 30 seconds. 3-wheeler took 25 seconds. The 4-wheeler took 35 seconds. Okay? So we need this type of data. Run with the best option. Okay? And set up another test. Keep testing until you are extremely satisfied of what is coming out is what you need. All right, we've done some sort of testing now, user testing, A/B testing, or any other test that you, stress testing, depending on the product. Your test will depend on what type of product that you're producing. Okay, but it's important now, once we have done the testing, we get some sort of feedback. And from the feedback, we need to look at what we can do or what we shouldn't do before we get to the final product. So we collect feedback from our users, stakeholders, team members that are there. Why? To refine and improve the design of our product. Right. So we gather our feedback again, the methodology that we use to interviews, surveys, usability testing, A/B testing, stress testing, and prioritize changes based on feedback. Right. So we're going to get some feedback and they're going to say, okay, I was not comfortable with this. We need to make changes to it. Maybe change the material or of the components, etc. What this does is that it ensures that the design meets the user's needs. It identifies areas for improvement before the final product and fosters a culture of continuous iteration and refinement. Remember, one of the key principles was what? Iteration. Okay? Do something, see if it works. Right? Try to do it better. Make changes to it. Keep going round and round until you are completely satisfied. And use cases, which is essential for all design products, as it allows for ongoing refinement and improvement based on, again, 2 things: user feedback and your test results. Okay? So feedback and iteration is extremely important as well. This is the iterative process. So we got the prototype, we share the prototype, we get feedback, we refine, okay? We get a new prototype, send it out again, share, feedback, refine, and it keeps going around in the circle until we are completely satisfied. All right. So these testing and iteration techniques that we discussed enable you, as I said, the designer, the innovator, the entrepreneur, to validate your designs, identify areas for improvement, refine the solutions to meet the user's needs and their expectations. Okay. Remember we said iterative and experimentation. All right. So try different things as well. Okay. So those are basically the 5 what we call stages of the design thinking model. Okay. Where are we using this? Today we are using it to solve real world challenges, and could be anything, right? Not only the walker, could be a simple thing like the bottle. All right. Almost every company out there uses it. Okay. As I said, whether it's in healthcare, manufacturing, education, list goes on and on and on. Right? You go to hospitals, you will see these machines, right? Look at these machines 1 or 2 years ago. You will see how they are redesigned. They are ergonomically designed. They are aesthetically pleasing. All right? That's just by looking at them. Okay? And then the functions that they provide. All right? So it is used by companies like Nike, Uber Eats, Roman's Pizza. Can you believe it? If I have to ask you, is Roman's Pizza an IT company or a pizza company? They are more an IT company. They're more than a pizza company today. If you look at Uber, Uber is more an IT company than a taxi type of company. They don't own a single vehicle. All right? They're all using design thinking principles within the scope of what they are trying to do and trying to make things better, faster, more efficient. Oral-B, Netflix, even First National Bank, even IT Varsity, Unilever, Checkers, every company today is using some type of design thinking process. And remember I told you somewhere in my presentation is that it's not something new. Okay? It has been around since time immemorial. What we have now just done is formalize the process. We've developed key principles and we've developed a model for people to follow in order to get to the solution as quickly as possible, instead of doing it on a ad hoc basis. Right. So remember the walker we spoke about? Okay. So this was a project that was taken over by MIT, started this project. Okay. All know of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, United States, and they have a department, I think it was called, they worked with the Sloan Foundation. Okay, to take that walker on the left, which was cumbersome, which had many pain points, etc., and they finally came up with the design where you see on the right hand side. Okay, I'm not going to show you the video now. If you have time, go to https://youtube.be/9fvjlpbjs and you will see the entire video from how they went through the entire design thinking process. All those 5 stages that we spoke about, all the key principles that they applied, okay, to end up with that final product that you see on the right hand side that that lady is using. Okay, look at the difference from what it was to what it is now. And this is all because of the design thinking process model that they have implemented, and they have adhered to the key principles. Okay? And they work as a team in order to develop that. As you can see, it's not developed overnight. Okay? It's got a leather bag. It's got a place to sit. It's got brakes. It's got 2 wheels, which the original one didn't have, etc. Right? So, call to action, I would say, guys, all of you should apply design thinking to your own work, to your own projects, even in your everyday life. Like there's something at home that you find that doesn't work for you. Think about how you would redesign it. That's what an entrepreneur is all about. That's what innovation is all about. Okay. So what are the key takeaways? Again, coming back to the principles of design thinking. User experience and empathy. Collaboration. Work together with different experts as a team to develop something. Generating ideas and solutions. Experimentation and replication. Proactive engagement. Rather than being reactive, be proactive. Right? Try to think in your mind, hey, what if this happens or what if that happens before it even happens. Be prepared for setbacks. A lot of things might fail. Okay? Some projects succeed, some projects fail. Be prepared for that. Don't get depressed. Be flexible. Okay? And lastly, keep it simple. Don't try to be over extravagant. Start small, grow big. And over and above everything else, don't be afraid to fail. Fail, fail again, fail fast, fail soft, but get up and do it again. Right? You will come up with an idea. You will be an entrepreneur. You will be an innovator. One of your ideas will take shape and you will be able to take it to commercialization. With that, I wish you all the best and thank you so much for having me.
All right, cool. So what an amazing session right there from Ibrahim. So we are right now at the end of today's lesson where we focused on design thinking all the way from our Durban studio with Ibrahim. But before we leave, please don't forget to be active on social media with hashtag FNB App Academy. And also important for you guys to be aware of the competition that is running from now all the way until the 29th of May, Thursday midnight. So all you guys have to do is take a picture of your workstation or your computer station and upload it online with the tag My Best Bootcamp Setup, and obviously tag in hashtag FNB App Academy Setup, hashtag FNB App Academy, hashtag FNB, and hashtag Love FNB. And you guys can stand a chance to win an amazing Samsung Galaxy tablet, courtesy of FNB. Thank you so much, FNB. All right, guys, have an amazing one. See you guys next time right here at the FNB App Academy. I am your host, Karabo Muhole. Peace.